I never thought the woman I'd loved for 12 years would destroy me on the night we were supposed to celebrate forever. But when I opened that hotel room door, I learned that some gifts come wrapped in lies. My name is Daniel Foster, and until 3 months ago I thought I had it all figured out. I was a high school math teacher in Columbus, Ohio. Not rich, not famous, just a regular guy who loved his job and came home every day to the woman who made everything make sense. Rebecca, my wife. The girl I met at a college bonfire when I was 21 and she was 19, both of us drunk on cheap beer and the possibility of something real. We got married young, too young everyone said, but we proved them wrong. We built a life in a small 2-bedroom house with blue shutters and a garden Rebecca tended every spring. We had movie nights every Friday. We had inside jokes that made no sense to anyone else. We had a cat named Professor Whiskers who slept between us every night. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Our 12th anniversary was coming up in October. 12 years, I wanted to do something special. Rebecca had been working so hard lately. She was a dental hygienist at a practice downtown, and they'd been short-staffed for months. She came home exhausted most nights, barely able to eat dinner before falling asleep on the couch. I'd cover her with a blanket and kiss her forehead, feeling that familiar warmth in my chest that told me I'd married the right person. I decided to book a weekend at the Grandview Hotel. It was this beautiful historic place about an hour outside the city, the kind of spot with a fireplace in every room and a restaurant that required reservations weeks in advance. I'd been saving money from my summer tutoring sessions, hiding cash in an old shoebox in the garage. $500, enough for 2 nights' dinner, maybe a couple's massage. I told Rebecca about it 3 weeks before our anniversary. We were sitting at the kitchen table, picking at leftover pizza, and I slid the confirmation email across to her on my phone. Her face went pale. "Danny, this is too much," she said. Her voice sounded strange, tight. "Nothing's too much for you," I said, grinning. "Come on, Beck, when's the last time we did something like this, just you and me?" She stared at the email for a long time, too long, then she smiled but it didn't reach her eyes. "You're right, this is perfect, thank you." I should have noticed right then that something was wrong. But I didn't. I was too excited, too busy planning, too wrapped up in my own romantic gesture to see what was happening right in front of me. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur. I arranged for our neighbor to watch Professor Whiskers. I bought a new dress shirt. I even stopped by a jewelry store and picked out a simple silver bracelet I'd seen Rebecca admiring months ago in a shop window. Everything was falling into place. But Rebecca was changing. She'd always been a light sleeper, but now she barely slept at all. I'd wake up at 2, 3 in the morning and find her side of the bed empty, the bathroom light glowing under the door. When I asked if she was okay, she said it was just stress from work. They were training a new hygienist. Her boss was being difficult. Normal stuff. She started taking her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom, even when she went to get the mail. I told myself I was being paranoid. We'd been together for 12 years, we trusted each other. But trust is a funny thing. It's invisible until someone breaks it. And then you realize how fragile it always was. 4 days before our anniversary, I came home early from school. There'd been a teacher development day that got cancelled at the last minute, and I decided to surprise Rebecca with her favorite Chinese takeout. I walked into the house calling her name, expecting to find her in the garden or reading on the couch. The house was empty. Her car was in the driveway, but she wasn't home. I called her cell. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. I tried again, same thing. A cold feeling settled in my stomach, heavy and dark. I checked the calendar on the fridge. She wasn't scheduled to work today, it was her day off. I sat on the couch and waited. Professor Whiskers jumped into my lap, purring, oblivious to the way my hands were shaking. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, at 4:30, I heard the front door open. Rebecca walked in wearing her gym clothes. Her face was flushed, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She jumped when she saw me. "Danny, what are you doing home?" "Development day got cancelled," I said. My voice sounded calm, but my heart was pounding. "Where were you?" "At the gym." She set down her purse, not meeting my eyes. "I told you I was going to start working out more, remember?" I didn't remember, but I nodded anyway. "Your phone was off." "The battery died." She pulled it out of her purse, showing me the black screen. "Sorry, I should have charged it before I left." Everything she said made sense, perfectly reasonable explanations, but my gut was screaming that something was wrong. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay there in the dark, listening to Rebecca's breathing, and tried to remember the last time she told me she loved me without me saying it first. I couldn't. The anniversary weekend arrived. Friday morning, I loaded our bags into the car while Rebecca finished getting ready. She came outside wearing a white sundress I'd never seen before, her hair curled and her makeup done. She looked beautiful, like the girl I'd fallen in love with all those years ago. "You look amazing," I said. She smiled, a real smile this time. "So do you." Maybe I'd been imagining everything. Maybe the stress really was just from work, and this weekend was exactly what we needed to reconnect. I started the car, hope blooming in my chest. The drive to the Grandview Hotel was quiet. Rebecca stared out the window at the passing trees, their leaves just starting to turn orange and red. I reached over and took her hand. She squeezed back but didn't look at me. We arrived just before noon. The hotel was even more beautiful than the pictures online, all stone and ivy and windows that gleamed in the autumn sun. The lobby smelled like cinnamon and old books. A fireplace crackled in the corner. This was going to be perfect. We checked in and took the elevator to the third floor, room 312. I unlocked the door and stepped aside, letting Rebecca enter first. She froze. I followed her gaze and my entire world stopped. There was a man standing by the window. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair and a tailored suit, younger than me, better looking. He turned when we entered and his face went white. "Rebecca," he said, just her name, but the way he said it told me everything I needed to know. I looked at my wife. She was staring at the man with an expression I'd never seen before, shock, fear, and something else. Something that made my chest feel like it was splitting open. "What the hell is going on?" My voice came out as a whisper. Rebecca's mouth opened, closed, no sound came out. The man took a step forward. "I think there's been a mistake. I'm Marcus Reeves. I had a reservation for room 312. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and checked the confirmation email. "Room 312, 2 nights, booked 3 weeks ago." "So did I said. Marcus looked at Rebecca. She was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face, and that's when I understood. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a coincidence. "You planned this," I said, "both of you." Marcus shook his head quickly. "No, I swear to God I didn't know." "Shut up," I wasn't yelling, I couldn't yell, all the air had left my lungs. I looked at Rebecca. "How long?" She wrapped her arms around herself, still crying. "Danny, please." "How long?" 8 months, her voice broke on the words. "I'm so sorry, I never meant for it to happen. I tried to end it, I tried so many times." 8 months, while I was planning our anniversary, while I was saving money in a shoebox, while I was lying next to her every night, trusting her, loving her. "This weekend was supposed to be with him, wasn't it?" I said. "And when I told you I'd already booked the same hotel, you couldn't cancel his reservation without him getting suspicious. So you just, what, hoped we'd end up in different rooms?" She nodded, mascara streaking her cheeks. I turned to Marcus. He looked sick, his face green. "Did you know she was married?" "Yes," he whispered. "I knew, but she said you two were having problems. She said you were planning to separate." I laughed, it came out harsh and broken. "We weren't having problems, we were fine, we were happy, or I thought we were." Rebecca was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. "Please, Danny, please let me explain. I love you, I still love you, it was just, he made me feel." "Don't," I held up my hand, I couldn't hear it, whatever she was about to say, I couldn't hear it. "I spent 12 years of my life with you, 12 years, I gave you everything I had, and you were planning to spend our anniversary with him." The room was silent except for Rebecca's crying. Marcus hadn't moved from the window, he looked like he wanted to disappear. I should have been angry, I should have been screaming, throwing things, making a scene, but all I felt was empty, like someone had reached inside my chest and scooped out everything that mattered. "I'm going home," I said. "Don't follow me, don't call me. Don't come back to the house until I've had time to figure this out." Rebecca grabbed my arm. "Danny, wait, please, we can fix this, we can go to counseling, we can." I pulled away from her. "There's nothing to fix, Beck, you killed it, you killed us." I walked out of room 312 and didn't look back. The drive home was a blur, I don't remember most of it. Just the road stretching out ahead of me, endless and grey, while my mind replayed every moment of the last 8 months. Every time she'd said she was working late. Every time she'd taken her phone to the bathroom. Every lie stacked on top of another lie, building a wall between us that I'd been too blind to see. When I got home, Professor Whiskers met me at the door, meowing for dinner. I fed him, then sat on the couch in the dark and stared at nothing. My phone buzzed, Rebecca, then again, I turned it off. The house felt different now. Every corner held a memory that had turned poisonous. The couch where we'd watched 1,000 movies. The kitchen table where we'd eaten breakfast every morning. The bed where we'd made promises to each other that she'd broken without hesitation. I didn't sleep that night, or the next night. I called in sick to work on Monday, then Tuesday. I couldn't face my students with fake smiles when I felt like I was drowning. Rebecca came home on Wednesday. I heard her key in the lock, and for a second, just a second, I felt a flash of hope. Maybe we could fix this, maybe love was enough. But when she walked in, I saw the truth in her eyes. She looked relieved, not sorry, relieved, like ending our marriage was something she'd been carrying for months, and finally putting it down felt good. "We need to talk," she said. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place I'd shown her the hotel reservation, the same place we'd eaten thousands of meals together. She told me she wanted a divorce. She said she'd been unhappy for years but didn't know how to tell me. She said Marcus made her feel alive in a way she hadn't felt since college. She said she hoped we could be friends eventually. I listened to all of it without saying a word. When she finished, I asked her one question. "Did you ever really love me?" She hesitated just for a second, but that hesitation told me everything. "Of course I did," she said, but I heard the past tense, did not do. "Okay," I said, "I'll find a lawyer." She looked surprised. Maybe she expected me to fight for her, to beg, but I was so tired. Too tired to fight for someone who'd already made up her mind 8 months ago. She moved out that weekend, took half of everything, which was her right. The house felt enormous and empty without her. Professor Whiskers wandered from room to room looking for her, meowing questions I couldn't answer. I went back to work the following Monday. My students asked if I was okay. I said I'd been sick. They didn't believe me, but they were kind enough not to push. The divorce took 6 months. Neither of us contested anything. We split our savings down the middle. She got the car, I kept the house. We divided our friends like pieces of furniture. Most of them chose her. I didn't blame them. She was better at staying in touch, better at making plans, better at being the person everyone wanted around. I heard through the grapevine that she married Marcus a year after our divorce was finalized. Small ceremony, just family. They moved to Denver for his job. I hoped she was happy. I really did. Even after everything, I couldn't hate her. I just felt sad that the girl I'd loved had become a stranger somewhere along the way, and I'd never noticed until it was too late. The second anniversary of what would have been our 14th year together, I drove out to the Grandview Hotel. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to see it again. Maybe I needed closure. I walked into the lobby with its fireplace and cinnamon smell, and for a moment I was back in room 312 watching my marriage explode. But this time I felt something different. Not pain, not emptiness. Acceptance. Rebecca had made her choice. She'd chosen excitement over stability, new over familiar, someone else over me. And that choice had nothing to do with my worth as a person. It was about what she needed, what she wanted, what she'd been too afraid to ask for until she found it somewhere else. I couldn't hate her for that. I could only hate the way she'd handled it. The lies, the betrayal, the wasted months where we could have been honest with each other instead of playing house while she built a life with someone else. I sat in the hotel lobby for an hour watching couples check in. Young couples, old couples, couples who looked like they'd been together forever. Some of them would make it. Some of them wouldn't. Love wasn't a guarantee. It was a choice you made every single day, and when one person stopped choosing it, all the history in the world couldn't save you. I drove home as the sun set, painting the sky orange and red. Professor Whiskers was waiting at the door, purring. I picked him up and scratched behind his ears. "Just you and me, buddy," I said. He purred louder. It took me 3 years to feel normal again. 3 years to stop looking for Rebecca in every room. 3 years to stop wondering what I could have done differently. The answer, I eventually realized, was nothing. When someone decides to leave, you can't love them hard enough to make them stay. I started dating again at 38. Nothing serious. Coffee here, dinner there. I wasn't ready to build something new on top of ruins that were still smoldering. But I learned to enjoy my own company. I traveled. I read books. I got a dog named Newton who slobbered on everything and made me laugh every single day. And slowly, quietly, I healed. The scar is still there, it always will be. Some wounds don't close completely. But scars are just proof that you survived something that tried to break you, and I survived. Looking back now, I understand that Rebecca did me a favor. Not in the moment, God, not in the moment when my world was ending in a hotel room I'd booked to celebrate us. But later, after the pain faded, after I learned to be myself again without her. She showed me that I was stronger than I thought, that I could lose everything and still keep going, that the person I loved most in the world could destroy me, and I'd still wake up the next morning and choose to live. She taught me that love isn't about holding on, it's about knowing when to let go. I'm 41 now, single, teaching math to kids who probably won't remember my name in 10 years, living in a house with blue shutters and a garden I never tend. And I'm okay. More than okay. I'm building a life that's mine, with no lies, no secrets, no one pretending to be happy while planning their escape. If I could go back and talk to the Daniel standing in room 312 with his world falling apart, I'd tell him this: it gets better. Not right away, not even soon, but eventually the weight lifts. The mornings get easier. You stop checking your phone hopping for a message that will never come. You stop rewriting history in your head, trying to find the moment where everything went wrong. You accept that some stories don't have happy endings, and you start writing a new one. If you've ever had your heart broken by someone you trusted completely, you know how Daniel felt. Sometimes the people we love most are the ones who hurt us deepest, but surviving that pain makes you realize how strong you really are. Thanks for listening to Daniel's story. If it touched you, maybe hit that subscribe button. We share true stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and survival every week. Real people, real pain, real healing. And remember, you're stronger than your worst day.